This article is about the formation of coal beds, particularly at the top layers of rocks, what's called the Cenozoic layer. Why this is interesting is it tries to look at it on a global perspective, noting the vast layers of rock and the vast layers of coal that are all intermingled with one another. And some of these layers are 70 meters thick, 200 meters thick, and they extend over vast areas. And the question is, how could this possibly have happened using gradual uniformitarian processes? The more logical and more reasonable explanation is that these layers of coal are due to the vegetation that was ripped up, creating vast log mats on the ocean. And as the waters were receding into the sea, these log mats were buried and essentially created layer upon layer of coal. And the article is interesting because it gives a global perspective to this and challenges the uniformitarian long-age vision of the Earth to come up with a sensible account of how coal was formed in the way that we see it. And that's sometimes, I think, a very big issue. When we look at the landscape, when we look at rock layers, it's very difficult to account for the landscape or the rock layers using long, gradual processes. I often get on my computer wonderful pictures as a sort of backdrop. And these pictures often show dramatic landscapes. And when I look at these pictures, I think, well, that picture shows me a landscape that could never happen gradually. Makes sense, that landscape with its huge cliffs and dramatically flat tops, often one I was thinking about recently, tops to the mountains, and a flat base, and then these great cliffs. Very sort of interesting and very almost like serrated edges to the cliff face. And it made you think that some process of water, as it were, receding into the ocean basins could easily create that landscape, planing off the top of the mountains and planing the surface of the valley, but leaving a cliff face with only thousands of years of debris at the base, and only being able to have existed for a few thousand years because cliffs don't stay around for millions of years, they disintegrate. And that's just one example. So cumulatively, when we look at the coal, when we look at the landscape, when we look at various other formations, the more logical and obvious explanation is a worldwide flood. And that's why, in a sense, I invite people to read these articles and cumulatively come to the conclusion that there is overwhelming evidence for a worldwide flood. And therefore, the Bible is indeed an accurate revelation from God. Well, thank you for listening.